And we are live. Welcome back, boys and girls, to the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am today's host, Winks. You can find me on Twitter at LCW21. We've got an insane episode for you this week. There was so much going on across the MLS and the Premier League and the Mickey Mouse Cup that we're very excited to kind of dive into all of it. But first, we'll do a little roll call. What's up, Mr. Hoover?
I knew you were coming to me first, but
You're
I'm
you're
doing
first,
good,
you're
man.
first on my screen here, so I'm just
Okay. I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. Handling everything that I've seen in the football world better than I thought I would personally. But I wore my Mac Miller swimming T-shirt today because sometimes I do feel that I am swimming in circles. So,
I
That's
love
good.
that.
That's
no,
good.
happy to be back. Love chatting it with y'all. Let's do it.
beautiful. Mr. Sindobri, what's
What's going on,
on?
fellas? It's good to see you. United finally got a win this weekend. City, I can no longer use as my excuse to not focus on United, so we're stuck with them. We're stuck with them now. But it's good to see you. It was a fun weekend of footy. Today's game, yesterday's game. Then United finally pulling out a dub. Happy to be here, fellas. Let's dive in.
Beautiful. And our other United brother, Hen, what's up, baby?
What's up, lads? Hen here. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wine. It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. You know, I get it. It's difficult coming onto this podcast whenever your team doesn't pick up 3 points, and there's so many of you
Real shame.
that didn't do that. So it's just great. It's great being here. For real, we have a lot to dive into this week. I'm excited to chat with you all, and looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Well, the other man that did pick up 3 points this week and kind of crazy. We weren't expecting it, but Hafey, what's going on, baby?
Yeah, it's interesting, boys. I've been waiting a couple of podcasts to say it, but I can finally say it. Chelsea's in the top half of the table finally.
Yo, wow.
It's been a while, and similarly to how Dobes put it, now that City's done, it's all that I have to talk about now, so might as well dive in.
That's nuts.
Beautiful. And then last but certainly not least, we've got a guest this week.
Who?
No, just kidding. We've got a very special host, co-host this week joining us now that the high school soccer season is officially over. Coach Ryan Butchart, best high school coach in all the land, is joining us, and resident Liverpool fan, picking up a big point against Luton this week. How you feeling, brother?
Hey, first of all, I'm super happy to be back and have some free time. And I want to thank you guys for your patience. You know, you guys are good friends. And I know I haven't been here for like a month, but thank you for your patience and me not being around for the podcast. But super happy to be back. Long high school season's now over. Another good year. Shout out Coach Dobes. Great season from the kid.
Turn me up, chat.
Yeah, can we get a little season recap of that real quick?
What was the season?
I was about to give him a little shouts. 5 for 5 for Mr. Butchart on winning seasons. Big shouts to Mr. Butchart.
Solid.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Another winning season, but I think Dobes and I both agree, like we could have gone farther with this group, but still proud of them and what they achieved. Beat a few good teams, beat a few state ranked teams. So we're building for the future. We'll see what next year looks like, but now it's time to win a state championship with the girls in March. So
can I ask you a genuine question?
Yeah.
If Luis Diaz didn't tie the game yesterday, would you be here tonight? Or would
Yes.
you push it off for a week?
No, I would be here. Yes.
No
I'm saying,
shot.
bro.
He's here
No
tonight.
shot.
Hey,
They lose
guys.
1-0 to Luton. You're no shot. You're
Man
here.
just got a new Xbox. He would have been like, boys, I'm playing.
Hey, you guys know that when Liverpool loses, I'm still around. You know what I mean? But no, hey, happy to be with you guys, man. Appreciate the love.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say you do not have to thank us for our patience or anything like that, because these last several podcasts you haven't been a part of have been an excuse for us to not have to mention Liverpool at all. So
That's been fantastic.
if anything, we should be thanking you for saving our breath there. But
Vince is like, yo, pick up a Gallagher team in now. Stay out a while.
that's what I'm saying, dude. There's a lot to coach during this offseason in between girls and boys and girls. So, but without further ado, we'll dive in. We're gonna start off with our hometown team, St. Louis City, lost in the second of 3 games to Sporting KC in the first round of the playoffs, thus ending our playoff run, short-lived as it was, and our season. But I think that overall, the first season finishing at the top of our conference, winning record, first team to win how many games in a row was it? 5, something like that, 7. I can't remember, but yeah, nonetheless, we won't dive into the season as a whole yet. For anyone listening, we're going to be coming out with a Mecca Moments that will be more dedicated to the season as a whole, but for now, we're going to more so dive deeper into the game. So it was a 2-1 loss. And yeah, kind of a weird game, but I'll let you guys take it away.
Well, I think, the first thing we should talk about is Carnell, his inability to make changes.
Yep.
And I think that the ego kind of, I texted you guys last night. I thought his ego kind of hurt us because we saw the lineup for the game. We were blowing the chat up, and you could have seen at halftime. I think Henry might have said something. Somebody said, how did, guys like, Stroud ran a lot, but why not pull him at halftime when it wasn't working? Like you kept him in for 20 extra minutes when we could have gotten Jackson on, who definitely brings you more direct running ability on the ball. He's going to beat you on the dribble. We needed that spark, and we didn't get it till it was too late. So you guys can piggyback off that, but that's my thoughts.
Salio does something on our team that nobody else can do.
100%.
And it's dribble. It's dribble and create space and
Take
create
risks.
opportunities. Attack the defense. Like the entire game, it was calling out for that, and it was super evident because Stroud doesn't do it. He must have a clause in his contract for backwards passes because that's all I saw him do.
Him and Cucurella.
I don't want to bag on him, but I don't think he was set up to do it either. Like the width was an issue. We were in this diamond again. Butch is like, I hate the diamond. I hate the diamond. You get beat on the wings, and there was a little bit of that. It was more so in the previous game at home that I thought we were just getting dominated. But that it all stems from not looking good for the last month. We blew this game in October. There was complacency. I do think Carnell deserves some blame. I think maybe there's a little bit of inexperience in his life on elimination games, because I don't think he's really been there and done that a ton. He took New York as interim, head coach to the playoffs when they weren't expected to get there, but I don't think they did very well. So I hope next year they realize the weight of some of these knockout games. I think I don't know, and I know I'm already steering off course of the actual game, but it all feels like we could have managed a little bit better there.
Yeah. I think what was encouraging from the start was that we did see a change in formation from the first game. So you see like a little bit of adjustment there, but huge call to bring in Josh instead of Nilsson. I think that was a massive call, and I think it was a call that paid off. I think Josh played super well, and he locked down his side. I thought it was also a massive call to change the wingbacks, both of them, in this game. Now, Watts wasn't totally at fault for one of the goals, but you either got to step and hold the line or you got to cover that near forward. You just got to take the chance that
it's just experience.
The ball isn't going to make it to the far guy. But, as I've been reflecting on the game, like Watts isn't a right back. He's, a center midfielder that converted to a right back halfway through the season. And that's, to your point exactly, Dubs, it might have just been a little bit of an experience with it. But
Hebert was great, by the way.
Hebert played really well.
Hebert was exceptional. Yeah.
On both sides of the ball, he was consistent. He put in a classic Kyle Hebert performance where consistent both ways. Like, he's not going to be the most creative going forward, but he wasn't an issue defensively.
He did well with Johnny Russell for sure.
Unfortunately, prior to the playoffs starting, one of the things that we talked about was how for us to succeed in the playoffs, like, we're going to need our big guys to step up, and it couldn't have been further from what happened. I mean, you look at Leuven dropped a stinker this game and game one, just like couldn't connect. Like, every ball he put in was not good. I think he put in one good cross kind of at the very end of the game. Klaus was in no man's land for the entire first half. Sam isn't one of our big guys, but Sam like didn't touch the ball in the first half, got yanked at half. And the list goes on and on where guys just didn't perform. And then Kansas City like scored on the only two breaks they had the entire game. They weren't competitive at all. So it was incredibly disappointing, and it really, for me, it really taints like the whole season. I know that we don't want to go into the whole season right now, but like, man, I want to win. Like, I want to win, and for me, like, I'm not a guy that cares about the regular season, the accolades of the regular season. If you don't do anything in the playoffs, it doesn't matter to me. So I'm really disappointed with it. And the last thing I'll say about the game as a whole, I actually want to give props to the ref for the most part. Now there were a couple of calls where potentially there could have been a pen or maybe a red card or two, but like, I thought he policed the game pretty well for the most part. Leuven could have gotten sent off early in the game right away. Like, he got yellow early, and then like literally the next play he went into a tackle that you're never supposed to make, and he literally was like, "Hey, settle down." So I want to give props there. And unfortunately, a couple calls didn't go our way, but would have been a totally different game with a penalty and maybe a red card for them. Like, who knows what would have happened? But I'm
trying to think of, it was the moment, it was like right when, I don't know if you guys saw the ref blow the whistle and he did the no more, and it was like literally the next foul was going to be yellow, and then Lewin 2 seconds later literally put in a tackle that I looked at Madison and I go, he's gone.
Yeah, same.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He has to be gone.
Yeah, so like, I think that's so frustrating, like, for so many reasons, but like, it for me, it does. It taints the season of like, you look at these guys, and at one point we were looking at like, are these MVP candidates for Klaus, pre-injury, Leuven pre-injury, but like, they come back from injury and we like regressed super hard as a season. So can't tell you how many times in our chat and on this podcast we talked about peaking at the wrong time. But like, mind you, Sporting earlier this season, we talked so much shit on Sporting for how terrible they were. And then like, they said it a million times in the broadcast last night, but there wasn't a better team in our conference after July. Like, they figured it out at the right time. And then like, now here they are advancing when we should be doing that. So I'm incredibly disappointed. I think our big guys dropped a big stinker. Now, I do want to say there's a little bit of discourse like on Twitter of people saying that like, first half of the season Berkey makes both of those saves. I think that's a little harsh on these. Like, Hoove, you're muted, by the way. Figure it out, first day on earth. But like, I think that's a little bit harsh. But yeah, across the board, like, we just played way too disjointed, and it sucked. Honestly, yeah, I hated it.
I think you hit it right on the head, and it was honestly the only thing I really wanted to touch on about the game was the inexperience. Like, we all talked about a couple pods on who we thought our guys would be, and you hit it right on the head. They did not show up. I also think that goes, like you said, like, for Carnell. Like, I think his inexperience in the playoffs like drastically showed here. I also think you once again were right. Like, Kansas City was just peaking at the right time, and they started playing good football towards the end of the year, and that's how it is. And that's why like the MLS is so wild, because like the whole season really doesn't matter until seedings and the end of the year, and you have to be playing at the right time. But yeah.
Now I'm going to be extremely interested in like what happens now. Like, in what I mean by that is like, it doesn't always happen with like the Prem or like other leagues where like the season ends and like the next day you kind of hear about roster moves. But what I've noticed about the MLS is things happen pretty quickly, like when it comes to that kind of stuff. So like, for example, like Miami ended their season, what, like last week, 2 weeks ago, or whatever, and they put out like a Instagram message saying like thank you to these three players that are no longer going to be with us. Like
Yeah.
didn't say where they were going, didn't say whatever. They're just like they're just not going to be with us anymore. And so I'm very curious of as we look forward, like who's going to be here from a contract perspective, and like the team's going to get blown up to some capacity. Not all of these guys are going to return, but who is it, and who are we going to go out and get? And what's the team going to look like next year? Because it very well could be possible that we regress next year, but it also could be possible that we strengthen next year. Is Carnell going to be back? Like I don't even know what all that's going to look like.
The Champions League starts like February 14th.
Yeah,
We're going. We find out
There's
where we go December.
yeah.
there's this crazy group of people on this earth that like we call them sports fans, and I'm one of those that's like very much just an insane sports fan that like no matter what all of the signs that we see with our two eyes that City's been terrible, that Sporting's been good, like everything is pointing that like we should lose this game, and I still find a way to like build myself up like, you know what, we got
We're gonna
this.
do it.
No,
Yeah.
no problem. And that's just being an insane sports fan, only to come like directly back down to earth in a little dose of reality. And I think the game started exactly how you'd expect a road team to start. We were all over them. We were pressing high, not necessarily sustainable though. Like yes, we're a pressing team, but like we were all over them for the first 10 minutes, running on adrenaline, running on the height of the game. And then once Sporting finally got a little bit of foothold in the game just didn't change, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The wide areas were exploited, and I feel like there's this like funny thing, like when you watch these games or you read like casuals on Twitter that are like, halftime Carnell's didn't make these adjustments. Like let's wait till halftime. It's like 26 minutes into the game, I could tell you how the rest of that half was going to play out. Like we were getting beat wide, we didn't adjust at all. Like I just don't understand. Like when you see where they're compressing or where our weakness is, why there weren't any changes made. It's like if you have to for a little bit, slide Klaus's is a 10. Play with that 4-2-3-1, cut off the width for a little while. You don't have to wait till halftime. Like I did tell you guys, I texted you guys yesterday. Like if we get to halftime, this game is winnable. And then we give up the 44th minute dagger that just completely deflates the entire team. And from there, it's kind of like game's over. We know what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you guys kind of all said it, but it's like the inexperience from both the players and the coaches. And also kind of it was just the writing on the wall. Like we all expected it. We all tried not to believe it, but this is exactly kind of what we've seen in this team for the last month. And it showed. So I don't know. That definitely kind of like a little bit debilitating. I was definitely hurt last night for sure.
But I guess like to your point, like you said that we like went in and we like executed the game plan like right away of like, but that's not sustainable 20 minutes into the game. But like it was though, like earlier in the season, yes, there's injuries that happen, but like I felt like we went away from that play style so quickly, not only last night, but the second half of the season. Like we didn't play the same way as we did the first half of the season. And that's what made us so good. Like not only were we winning games, but we were scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a game because we were pressing so high, winning the ball up the field. And then we just went away from it. We instead just like we only played counterattack football instead of trying to win the ball high up the field. And so I think like we've said this before, but like you look back on the season, and I think a lot of the problems and the issues that we saw in the second half got covered up by the fact that like we were good the first half of the season. So like I think we were kind of turning a blind eye or whatever the expression is to some of these problems, but like I hope that like if Carnell comes back next season that he does learn from it and that he implements a style that's sustainable for an entire season, whatever that style may be, and we're not like rotating so heavily game to game. Because yeah, like the second half of the season, we couldn't even predict a lineup. And like yes, there's the whole like next man up mentality, but it's like we couldn't predict the lineup nor the formation any game of the season after the first like 5. And that's an issue. Like that's a problem. In my opinion.
I have a hard time thinking Lutz was sitting on the bench on last night not thinking these things too. And I have to know that he's watched this last month and a half too. And like, you want to talk about a guy with the biggest footballing brain that I've ever understood or comprehended. I'm giving it to him. Like, he may be an exceptional scouter and, just a talent ID guy, but I just have to think he was thinking these things too. So your point about Carnell taking from this, I have a hard time thinking he and Lutz aren't having a conversation and rewatching the last 6 games and being like, all right, like, what were the thought process sometimes? Where we
Why aren't we doing that before the game, though? You know what I mean?
So that's the thing. It's like we don't know the thing behind the thing, but like that's a little bit of my point of like we saw a lot of these issues early, and like if what you're saying is true that like he is this like footballing brain, certainly more than us, but like so why wasn't this addressed earlier? And maybe there was just a lot of trust in like Carnell, or maybe Lutz was calling the shots and like this is what happened. Like, I don't know. Like we just don't know what's behind the thing.
I don't think it works in that way though. You know what I mean? Like I think they're in alignment and synergy on like player ID, how they want to play a little bit, but like I don't think Lutz is like in the training, like that's like the head coach is like, you know what I mean? Like
it's true.
He's not giving Carnell suggestions probably.
Yeah.
I just, in my opinion, and I know there's different styles to play football, and I may be a little bit picky in terms of what I enjoy watching, but like to me, like it may be effective, and I'm happy we won, but it's like terrace football, man. I cannot stand watching it sometimes. It's like the kick the ball long and hope that our two big guys up top run fast and make a mistake. like genuinely, that's what it was. Like at the simplest form. Like
reminds me of rock.
Like but you know what I mean?
Literally.
It's like. But seriously though, it's like you have players like Lewin, you have players like Indy who are great on the ball and great when they can create. And it's like oftentimes they're getting the opportunity to receive the ball like 20 yards from our own box and then saying make something happen versus when you saw it towards the end of the game where Lewin's receiving the ball around the box, Indiana's receiving the ball around the box, and then Cilio comes in where around the box where dangerous things can happen versus you're playing this like high press, like, killer instinct on one single mistake where it's like, yeah, Lewin can do that. Yeah, he hasn't played great, but like that's also not using him most effectively. Like using him in like a midfield 2, he's having to do all this extra running where it's like, yes, he should have to do some of that, but your best player needs to be in spots where he can be your best player, not be defensively putting in tackles, if that makes sense.
I did think it was insane. Like you bring up like Indy getting the ball at the top of the box at the end of the game when Indy shot that ball, dropped down to Parker shot it, hit the guy directly in the arm, and then didn't even review it. I'm like, bro, that's
we haven't gotten those calls.
It would have been a tough one to give. Yeah, it would have been a tough one to give, but still you want review.
Oh, something, dude. There could have been 3 red cards on Kansas City. Like we sat there and talking about it. Like I've seen refs give that. Like, I've seen a ref give that one too. Like there were just too many of those that I was like, I don't think that was what the deciding factor was. But as a St. Louis fan, and I've watched these calls go against us all year, it's like, okay, sure, more of the same.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, the last thing I'll say about this game is, like, I would not want to play Kansas City if I was in the playoffs.
No, for sure.
Genuinely. Like, how do you say the left back's name? Like, Ndembe is prime Roberto Carlos. Like, Kinda, however you say the name, the guy in the middle is, like, prime Mesut Ozil right now. Like, these guys are balling for real.
You got to give credit to them, too. They were dead last. They were dead last in the entire MLS. Like,
they're wild
card win it. I hope they win it.
The best game of the season for them was game 1. Like, easily, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, disappointing.
It really is sad that it took us almost 2 full games against our rival to kind of start seeing that life. But I think you guys touched on it a little bit, but I think that there's a lot of positives to look towards in the next season. A lot of changes that we hope happen in order to avoid something like this in the future. In the near future, and kind of sustain how we played at the beginning of the season. But we'll cover all that and more.
I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm catching an away day.
Let's do it, bro. I'm down for that. I'm down.
And Hen's been before, and I know he said it's not like crazy expensive. Like once you get there,
it's amazing. It's the best place in the world.
I got my round trip flight for $350. We're going in January, so
all I'm saying, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but all I'm saying is look out for a live recording of
From the beach.
Mecca Banter podcast from a Costa Rican beach.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yogis in hand. We'll see. But all right, gentlemen. So while that was a crazy end to our MLS season, we had an equally crazy weekend in the Premier League, and we'll start with a dramatic 3 points for our United boys over Fulham. 7 yellow cards in that game, and an extra time goal by your captain. I won't say any more, and I'll let you guys take it away.
Oops.
Hen, you want to go? You want me to go?
You, bro. You got this.
Neither of them want to talk.
What are you talking about?
Dude,
Some
yeah, we'll talk.
some teams let VAR get in the way of themselves winning games. Other teams just find a way. You know, we had a shocking early call that didn't go our way, a bullshit offsides call on Maguire that we should have scored very early in the game. McSauce should have done it again. Refs called it back. You know, we could have written a statement, called for a replay. Instead, we decided to continue fighting and find a way to do it. That's what great teams do.
I'm really pissed off that I didn't say it last episode, but we forgot to mention the secret agent of Hoyland. Like, we totally forgot he's got 8 games now. No,
bro, he's not a secret agent. I don't know why you keep saying that.
Yeah, he's joined top scorer of the Champions
Anybody
League.
who leaves Chelsea,
he scored a brace in the Champions League.
Sorry,
What are you
in the
talking about?
Premier League, he's a secret agent. 8 games, 0 goals, 0 assists.
Anyway, you're still in 10th. So going back to the important game of the weekend, we didn't look great. We didn't look great per usual. I think this is one of those games after coming off a back-to-back 3-0 results. You saw basically what I wanted to see is a response. Show that you care. There's all these bullshit rumors coming about Ten Hag. Do people want Ten Hag out? And what you saw from the players was like fight. You saw grit, which is exactly what I think you need to show. The performance wasn't there, but at the same time, if you saw the sign that the United fans had in the away end to start the game during warmups, a massive sign that just said, play like you mean it. Like basically play for the badge, act like you care. If you watch towards the end of the back-to-back 3-0 draws, it was like you just accepted defeat. You know, where the mentality was low. And essentially, like, Eric Ten Hag's been called in question. The club's been called in question. The players, most importantly, are called in question. And they responded. You know, it wasn't pretty, but at the same time, like, when you saw that celebration after Bruno scoring, no matter what you make of the goal, no matter if it was deflected, it's like the club needed that goal extremely bad. One, just because we're the biggest club in the world and all these rumors stir out of absolutely nowhere. But at the same time, it's like there is pressure. You Man United, you have to start delivering results in the Premier League. So extremely happy with the 3 points. It's interesting just sort of like looking at the dynamic of our season. Like if you look at how many points we were in the table at this point last year, we're in the exact same points. We're at 18 points after this many games, the exact same way last year. Just the way that our results have gone have made this appear to be such a terrible start, which obviously it's not where we want to be, but I have this stat in front of me looking at the last 5 games. It's like Brighton has 3 points, Liverpool has 8 points, Man City has 9 points, and Man United has 9 points in the last 5 games. So for all this doom and gloom and sort of these things that we've had to go through, like we may sort of just have sort of a result that even though it wasn't pretty, that we can build on. And now we go into Copenhagen and then Luton away. There are 2 results that we should be able to get, and all of a sudden we're getting Luke Shaw back. We're getting Aaron Wan-Bissaka back.
Luton away is not that easy.
Yeah, and you just said it wasn't pretty, and then you were happy with the response. I'm confused.
Okay, let me dumb the game of soccer down for a 2-year-old level.
No, not at all. I just
the performance wasn't pretty. The performance wasn't pretty.
But you like the response of a not pretty performance from your guys.
But I like the effort that we actually showed. The fact that they ran and hustled to the 90th minute shows something. The fact that somebody stepped up and scored a goal when we don't play pretty shows something. The fact that you show response when your manager and the entire world is asking him to be fired, you show something. When you step up in those moments when you don't play pretty and you still find a way to win, especially how we've been playing over the last week, we'll take that all day.
Okay.
Respond.
Yeah, nobody responds from you on that one.
No, you're just saying it doesn't see you. Every single sentence you just ended with was it wasn't pretty. When you started the whole thing off, pleased with the performance, and now you're saying it wasn't pretty on the back end.
Which words ever came out of my mouth that I was pleased with the performance? I haven't said that for a single game this year. I haven't said that once in
Loved the effort. You loved the effort that the team was given on a
effort and performance are two different things.
a pretty okay. Okay, that's fine. If that's your mentality of the best club in the world, have that.
You guys can't call yourself best clubs in the world to fix water falling in from fucking Old Trafford, bro.
That's not my mentality. How would that make sense if that's my mentality? You think I'm happy in the state of where we are right now? Which is
happy with their effort.
We got 3 points. Yes, bro, because we just got walked off the park 3-0 back-to-back games.
And they had a subpar performance against Fulham.
Yes, bro.
Why are you happy?
Arsenal took Fulham.
Hey,
bro, we just got 3 points. Why would I not be happy?
Hold on, Nick. Are you happy with what happened in the Tottenham game today?
Please tell me that you four are understanding where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
I mean, as much as I hate that you say like good teams find a way to get it done, all this bullshit, like
it's true.
3 points is 3 points is 3 points. Like, doesn't always matter how you get there.
Was just trying
and even if it wasn't your best game,
that was genuinely honest.
Even if it wasn't your best game, that's still momentum that your team.
Like, what are we talking about? You think the stats are made up too?
No.
Like, what are we doing here,
bro?
Damn.
That's wild.
Let's hear Head. I want to hear his take. Apparently, you guys played great.
No, I think it was the best performance we should. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't have
our worst game, their best game.
Yeah.
Not a single person on this podcast has said we looked good in the past month and a half.
Totally.
Facts. Yeah.
I don't have anything different to say other than I know that like we laugh about the offside call and it was kind of tongue in cheek to say we still find a way. If you all haven't looked at that offsides call from Harry Maguire, it is the craziest ruling I've seen in a long time. It was a subjective,
it's laughable,
offsides call, which is not like drawing the lines. Hey, he's off. He scored the goal. Whatever. Like I even think some of the goals that happened today, like that got called off for Chelsea and Tottenham, like. It's objective, but it sucks ass where they drew the lines and like all of that stuff. This, Maguire didn't affect the play. He didn't touch the ball. He didn't anything.
Yeah, that was wild.
They said, he's not offsides, but we're going to show you it on VAR. And the ref was like, I kind of see where you're coming from. No goal. That shit.
You knew instantly.
Yeah.
And that was another one like today where they had 3 different VAR reviews on the same thing. It was Garnacho offsides? Was there a foul? And then it was Harry Maguire offsides?
Yeah, it was nuts. So that's crazy in and of itself. But just to double down on what you said, Dobes, of like the next couple of games, like you look ahead, we got Copenhagen, we have Luton, we have Everton, Galatasaray, and Newcastle. Now, Galatasaray and Newcastle, we've had trouble against already this season. So by no means am I saying we're going to pick up 15 points from 5 games. I'm not saying that at all. But I really hope we look at Copenhagen, Luton, and Everton as like, those are great games where we can kind of turn our season around and hit our stride. I think that stat speaks for itself, Dobes, of like this time last year, we're sitting on the same exact points. I didn't know that till today. So like that makes me feel better because I know how I felt a year ago. I know exactly how I felt a year ago. So I've been like texting Dobes the last couple of weeks being like, I know that this is just a wave that we got to ride right now. Like we get the injuries back. We're going to get through it. And like, it hasn't been a great start to the season, but I really need us to turn that page.
Bro, you know, it's bad when Madison was sleeping during the game. I wake up, I go downstairs, watch the whole game. I go upstairs. She's just waking up and I go, Man United won. And she goes, wow, that's surprising. That's when you know the state of where we're currently at.
Wild. Well, nonetheless, 3 points. Congrats on that. But we'll move on.
I mean, I know that like I feel like this episode we should have like probably put a caveat on like a crazy weekend of refereeing decisions, like just an absolutely bonkers weekend. We can talk about it in every single one of our games that we had this weekend, but I'll throw that out before we go to Arsenal because there's definitely some suspect stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, we can dive right into that, I guess. Arsenal lost 1-0 this weekend to.
Wait, Lucas, your mic cut out. Say it again.
Hello?
Yeah, say it again.
You motherfucker. Arsenal undeservingly lost
we need to clip that. Hello?
to Newcastle. God, dude, I can't believe I got hooved with those.
Yeah, you did.
I'll neck that. Yeah. So undeservingly 1-0 away at St. James. Ellen DeGeneres scored his first goal of the season in the 64th minute.
That's my favorite comparison.
It had to be that,
Wow.
didn't it, too?
Had to be. And he was having an absolute stinker up until that tap-in that shouldn't have counted. But I will also neck that Arsenal Twitter's been saying ever since we got knocked out of the Mickey Mouse Cup by West Ham that we did it based on the lineup, that we did it to focus on the league, and then we lose to Newcastle away. But it didn't appear that was our plan based on the starting 11 that we put out in St. James. I think that with the lineup we had, I'm obviously not happy that we didn't win, but was expecting a tie at the very least. And like we've talked about this whole season, I think that you guys would, although you guys hate Arsenal, you would back up that I've been, respectful of when your guys' clubs have gotten calls that like haven't gone your way. With how shitty this refereeing's been all season, that while we haven't seen it as intensely against Arsenal until this past weekend, VAR strikes again, and we dropped all 3 points when that goal should have been no goal, plain and simple. The ball was out of bounds, and then
I think the ball was in bounds. I do think it was a foul, but I think the ball was in bounds.
I do.
Extended arms, anywhere else on the pitch, foul. Ball was in bounds, though.
Either way, one of those gets executed, and
Probably should have caught it
gets
too.
called correctly. It's no goal, but flat out, you put, like who said, you put 2 hands on the back of somebody's neck and head, back, whatever it was, anywhere else on the pitch, it's a foul. There's been unacceptable refereeing and VAR errors all season, though, not just in this match. And it's sad
Listen to him
see.
say that there's been unacceptable refereeing, like he's fucking Arteta.
You're literally
This is a disgrace.
like him.
This is a disgrace.
Hey,
Havertz should have been sent off.
Yeah.
That was for sure a red.
It wasn't as
High
bad as
up on his
Romero,
ankle.
but
It's close.
yeah,
It wasn't as bad as Nketiah's earlier this year either, but I'll leave that. Never mind.
Lucas, let me ask
again,
you a question, bro.
we have no idea. Yeah, what's up?
Like, what are your thoughts on Arteta's comments? Genuine.
So he was. It's one of those things that, like, with most of us, like, until it happens to you, you're not as passionate about it because it genuinely doesn't affect your team as much. But I don't like how, like, flippy floppy he was with how he said earlier in the season that, like, we just have to trust, like, they're just the referee's decisions and all that, and then comes out, after it happening to us and saying that it's a disgrace. I think that, as a manager, being in the public eye as much as you are, it's important that that obviously all these guys are careful with their words for the most part, and to avoid, all this shit talking about what you say and post game pressers, whenever it is, you have to be consistent in how you feel about, certain decisions that are made in the league, whether that's for or against you. And so obviously wasn't a fan of how he spoke about it earlier in the season and then how he spoke about it now, but he said it and it's over with. And
It's not
and we
over
move
with.
on.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that these decisions are just, gonna stop throughout the rest of the season, because I'm sure we'll see it across the board for all of our clubs.
I know it's not going to stop. I was talking about Arteta. I'm not over it, bro. I think he's such a little bitch. Like, literally every chance that Arteta has to be a huge bitch, he just is. Every single time. Every time. It's crazy.
See, I don't have as much problem with Arteta because, like, managers have been doing that stuff for, like, decades now. Like, and Arteta is one of those guys.
They're all little bitches, though, I guess.
Arteta is one of those guys that, like, you see his passion on the sidelines. I love Mourinho. I love Jose's impressors. I love Jose's candidness. like, yes, it's easy to hate on Arteta because he did make the earlier statements in the flip-flop, but it doesn't mean I disagree necessarily with what he was saying. I think the statement from Arsenal is 10 times worse than anything that Arteta did. Because for me, it's like managers historically have always like complained about the refs to try to get future calls. It's like a Fergie tactic, all this different stuff. It's like mind games. It's man management shit. But the statement is like the thing where it goes over the top. It's like it's one game, like it hasn't happened to everybody else. United is at the bottom of the VAR category. We are -5 on VAR calls this year. We have had 5 goals that have been called back in crucial games from us. We don't have a statement. Ten Hag hasn't said anything, etc. I want him to say something, but a statement is like one of those things like, what the fuck? Like, what's it going to change? Generally, what's it going to change?
I mean, I expect nothing less than a replay of the game. No, I'm playing. Yeah, that's the thing, man. There's so many different ways to look at it, both positive and negative, and we know that Henry's going to look at it in the negative way, but it was our first loss of the season. It's not like you said we're in United's position where, well, I lied. Every point is still crucial for us, but like even more so for you guys. So it's not like we should. This is going.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to word it the right way, but nonetheless, it's like just move the fuck on. Like no one single statement, especially based on what's happened so far this season across the board, is going to change anything. So just eat it and put out a better fucking lineup next weekend.
Would be really cool. And Kai, baby.
Midfield.
Yeah,
I also love that was like the chat from Nick from day one of them going there, and it also continues to be true. Every single time they play, Nick just has that in the bag because it just keeps happening.
And now they're in the top half of the table, so he's got a little
bit
more confidence in what he's saying. But yeah, it sucks. And after losing both games in the same week, we haven't done that in a hot minute, so that doesn't feel good either. But we move on. We've got Sevilla on Wednesday and then Burnley at the weekend, so 2 very winnable games. And I hope that we use this weekend as motivation to just play the game and not let the refereeing or VAR affect how we play. But
Newcastle have become one of my most hated teams in the Prem very quickly.
Yeah, I feel like when they were bought, we were all kind of like excited for them to for them to be one of the better, bigger clubs, and now it's just like, fuck those guys.
He's a menace, man.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking.
He wasn't, dude.
Yeah, just saw red.
He wasn't.
Anyways, moving on, we'll take a look into an absolute thriller, probably the game of the weekend, the Luton game. We had a Luis Diaz 95th minute header.
Dude, let me tell you, man. They do say in England that Luton Town is the toughest place to play on the road, and I'm reading it right now. It's on the Luton Town website. It says
total games.
I'm just kidding. Hey, no. First of all, super happy for Diaz, man. I mean, as those of you who may not know, his father was kidnapped back home in Colombia. He didn't play last weekend. So him being back, he talked with Klopp, wanted to play in the squad, and him scoring, I was so happy for him. I didn't like that it was so late, but good for him to come in, get a goal, help the team. But
it was good for the sport. As a fan of the sport,
yeah,
that was cool. And you could tell he didn't even know how to celebrate it. Like he just pulled his shirt up and was just like frozen. Yeah, there was a lot of raw human emotion there. So I credit where it's due.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree, Hoof. Great for the sport, but just frustrating. I watched the whole game, obviously, and very frustrating. Like I will say, our worst player on yesterday on Sunday has arguably been our most important player all year besides Salah, and that's Dominic Szoboszlai. He had a really poor game, and when he plays well, we play well. and he did not play well. They actually Klopp never subs him, and he subbed him off. I believe I'm looking here, 60th minute, 66th minute. So that was kind of a sign to me. I was like, okay, if he's not on, like we're not going to create much. We didn't create too much, apart from a few chances. I know you guys want to talk about the Darwin Nunez sitter that he missed. I know Dobes is licking his lips over there. I can see it. Look, he's laughing. Yeah, super unfortunate. Ball took a big hop, you know what I mean? And you could just no, but
yeah, on that perfect pitch.
no, it did. Hey, I'm just messing around, but it was an inexcusable miss. But Darwin really has played well all year. I think we've seen a lot of growth from him from last year. He was missing those every game, and that's the first big one he's missed all season. So he's made strides. Nick, what are you laughing at, bro? Hey, if you type in Darwin Nunez missed sitters 2023, that's the only one that's going to pop up on YouTube, my G.
Happy you're proud of that.
He added the occasional worldie to his locker
sure
to
did.
continue to miss some of the sitters.
True. Once again, Trent, most chances created from right back. He had 6 chances created offensively. He continues to play well. Van Dijk had a good performance at center back. But I'm going to give credit to Luton. Did you guys see their goal?
Yeah.
I mean, class.
I want to talk like that is a pure counterattacking
proper United, lad.
It was phenomenal, man. They broke so quick, and it took 2 passes until they got to our box, and then one cross on the ground tap in. Man, that was a beautiful goal. Yeah, it's frustrating, just we're still in 4th, few points. I think 3 or 4 points off City. So I'm still content. I'll take the point, move on to next week. We got a big one Thursday. You know what I mean? We're at Toulouse in France. So,
When's that game?
It's on Jueves.
Oh, word?
Dude, Tahith Chong is just like the OG championship level destroyer, bro.
Yes,
he is.
He's a championship
good enough
killer.
to be a baller on a lower Prem team, but he's the guy in the championship.
Oh yeah, he's always been like that, dude. That was the first thought I had when he scored. I was like, I've seen this dude around forever, and he's just down there.
He's been at United for like years and just consistently been on loan to different championship clubs.
He was like, yeah, good for him.
Journeyman.
Yeah,
exactly. True journeyman. I love it. Yeah, but that's all I got, Mr. Winkelberg, on the Reds this week, baby. We move on.
Tough place to play, Luton. Hard to grab 3 points there, man.
Yeah,
tough place to play.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you.
It was hard for the easiest team in the league when Tottenham went there, but when Liverpool gets a point, it's like, what a response! Like,
yeah. Well, you guys, your Champions League game Europa League this week.
Oh, you dick
Thursday.
face.
Amo Papa on Thursday against
I
a
mean,
tough place to play. Toulouse.
Yeah, Toulouse, man. Tough place to play.
I've heard that too. Yeah, that's been roaming around. So
and they do it on a Thursday night in Toulouse.
Can they? Will they?
Let me remind you that Toulouse is currently sitting 14th in the table.
We'll remember that for Thursday.
I'm feeling a Darwin hat trick, fellas. What's the over under?
I hope they lose. I will
over under missed goals.
Over under sitters missed.
Yeah.
Dude, we should really start betting.
Bangers only. Nobody wants to score easy goals.
We should start betting Darwin Nunez goal outside the box because we know it's not happening inside the box.
That's actually a great play.
Yeah.
Him and Nico Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, Nick. Come on, man.
Dude, I'm juiced up. I think we need to move on to the game of the week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So,
United.
Oi. I don't think any other game genuinely deserves to be called the game of the week after what we watched today.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, speaking of hat tricks, we have a Nico Jackson masterclass today against 9-man Spurs, 4-1, and up to the 57th minute, we had 3 goals called back, 17 minutes of VAR reviews, 3 subs, 2 goals, 2 injuries, a red card, a pen, and shitty soccer. And
Holy.
I'm just going to leave it at that. There was obviously a lot more that went on the rest of the game, but I don't think either of you guys are super happy for different reasons about how it played out. Nick, congrats on 3 points and getting to the top half of the table, but I'm very, very curious to hear about both of your sides of it, because I think there's a lot of different ways to look at this game, from, the injury perspective to I don't know. I'm just gonna let you do it, and whichever one of you want to go first. I don't think that it matters.
Before we dive into like the ins and outs of it, I think we can all agree, and I know it's just a broken record at this point, but like VAR is so awful and so inconsistent, and they have to, I think you guys said it earlier, we have to check every single little thing. And I think I don't know, it's funny, the announcer said during the game that it's here to stay, so we need to like, I don't know if we should have VAR here to stay. Like, I think we should possibly like relook into this, because oh my gosh, I think it took so much time. You can't celebrate goals anymore. You don't know what's going to be called. Like, I think there's so much that goes into VAR, and like I think it's shit. Before we dive into it,
I feel like it got worse this year.
yes,
It's
like
been
way
bad,
worse.
but like this year is like a
Bro,
different.
I feel like it's the pressure that the referees are under. I feel like nobody wants to make a mistake, and therefore they're over checking everything.
The announcer also said it too. Like, why even have the middle refs? Just have VAR ref it. Like, literally, like that's what it's getting to. Like, every single call now is going to VAR, and they're having to review it, and then it's taking 7 minutes for anything.
One of the things that I saw online was that I really liked was that it's in place to defend the decision on the field. It's being used to find instances in the game that would be turning points. So, you can look at this game. This game's its own little clusterfuck, to be fair, but a lot of times it's these small things off the ball that nobody sees, or in the ref's eyes it was a yellow and we just moved. But like, Reece James's elbow to Destiny Udogie, that got a review. Like, that got a serious foul play review. He didn't get a yellow card for the play. It was like off the ball. I think if he looks and makes any eye contact with Destiny before he goes in, there's an argument. But like, he was going for the ball. His eyes were straight up. He was jumping for the ball. He got the guy. Like, could it have been a foul? Yes, but it wasn't called a foul. It wasn't called the yellow card. They went back and reviewed it. They stopped the play after the play had already restarted. Spurs didn't even sit there and be like, what the hell was that? They grabbed the ball and played on. So that in itself is my issue with VAR. But Nick, what do you want to? What are your thoughts on the game?
One more thing I want to say before I dive into the game. Matters getting injured. I feel bad. Like, hate to see that. Hate to see Matters go off injured. I think he's been having a hell of a season. So like,
and Van de Ven, two of your best players so far this year.
Have they disclosed the Madison injury? What was it?
No, I don't have anything.
During the game, they said it was his he went down and was grabbing his ankle.
I hated to see that. I don't like to see anyone go off injured like that.
Van de Ven's looked worse.
Really bad.
Van de Ven's has already come out, I thought, with that he was good, right?
Oh, it looked like he pulled the shit out of it.
No shot. Non-contact.
Yeah,
he's done.
Oh, I see. I thought I saw something.
Matters was non-contact too, but I couldn't really see. He didn't like roll his ankle or anything like that. He was just racing in the box for the ball, and then just fell and started grabbing his ankle. But Van de Ven's, that's like one of those that you see, that we've seen in those highlights of like good sportsmanship. I forget which game it was, but that guy's like running back to track the ball and pulls his hammy, and then the other player just kicks it out of bounds. Like, he had to have.
Yeah, his looked really bad, and I think he's going to be out for a really long time. I can't say much about Madison's because he was back up, and truthfully, when the camera showed him getting pulled off, he was like me, he was doubling down, and I think that one may have been just a precautionary thing from Ange. Okay. But I think losing Mickey Van de Ven may be like a season-defining moment. Like, Tottenham Hotspur cannot play the back line that they do play, and the style and system with two ball-playing center backs with Eric Dyer. And to be totally fair, Eric Dyer came in today and was admirable. Had a hell of a finish on an offsides goal. But it's, we've come in. He made these couple rotations in these players that he picked in, and Destiny was already out on loan, so he was coming in, but he fit the mold perfectly. Pedro Porro was already here, but he fit the mold perfectly. Christian Romero, if he's not being an idiot, can stay on the field and play an exceptional center back. But no one has the pace of Van de Ven to be able to cover those distances, and we've seen it all year. Like it's been super evident how reliant we've been on him and his pace. But I'm terrified for the future here. And truthfully, this game, I texted Dobes and Hen before the game, and I was like, we could lose 8-0, and I still wouldn't feel that bad because Ange had a free hit today for sure. I think Romero definitely can take the blame for this one because truthfully, 11v11, I don't think it stays tight. I think they cruise, but self-inflicted injuries. The worst thing about it is that it was fucking Chelsea. If this was Fulham, bro, I would have been like, all right, well, who do we play next? Whatever. But that one stings from the other side of London for sure. Was no Poch masterclass either. We didn't get just completely played off our park. The 4-1 is harsh, but we played like we were going to try and win the game with 9 guys. So, take what you want from that. But Ange said literally in his post-game presser, he's like, mate, we could go down to 5 and we're going to have a crack. So, that's
7-1 formation.
7-1, yeah.
One thing I will say is that I don't think and not many positives I'm taking away from the game either, but Poach's reaction to us towards the end of the game of us up 4-1, he was still pissed off. So that was one thing that I liked to see in him, is you could definitely still see that he was not happy with our performance, and I don't think any Chelsea fan should be. I'm pumped with 3 points because we're in the top half of the table now. Like, we haven't been able to say that in a very long time.
So you're
I said
happy
it
with
2
3
weeks
points?
ago. I said it 2 weeks ago.
I was getting ready to say it, Wings.
What'd you say?
Not the performance, just the reaction, right?
But I'm not pumped with their effort. Like,
But you said you liked
effort was
effort,
great there, but we lost awfully. Like,
Well, what about the performance, bro?
I'm talking. The performance was not great, and I think that's
effort plus performance. It equals.
He said, "Let me speak."
That is self-inflicted from Tottenham Hotspurs, which is something that I think people forget about. I think Christian Romero's a wank, and he chose violence this morning. And every single tackle he went into, he extended out a little bit further. We all know what it's like. We've all played soccer before in the past, and we all know what it's like to extend your tackle, your leg, your shoulder, everything out. He did it every single tackle. He was coming cleats up to every single thing, and he wanted to hurt our players more than play football. And I don't like
That's just how he
I'm gonna
plays.
stop
and
you
he
right
should
there,
have been
'cause
sent off twice.
Continue.
Brother, he is Argentinian. My G.
Yeah,
Have you
should have been
seen
sent off
Otamendi,
twice.
bro?
Otamendi's the original.
Leach is the same way.
Yeah.
Should have been sent off twice in that game. I absolutely hate that because it absolutely changed the aspect of the game. Tottenham had to then sit back, and we absolutely suck in that. They then started playing a high line, which we then had to adapt to. And Nico Jackson, oh my word, that if we want to have one thing, I think Dobes really said it best. Like, and I'm not gonna hide from this. He was like, it's crazy to watch someone have a hat trick and think less of him after the game, because I couldn't agree more. Like, he did the C celebration or the Ronaldo celebration after. And one, I think it's funny that United fans just think they own that celebration. And then two,
No, we don't. Ronaldo owns that
taken.
celebration.
But I was not impressed with his performance. He should have had 10. Like, I'm not happy with that at all. I thought Enzo did not put in a great performance as well. But I will also say, you said we were, I don't think it would have been as easy of a cruise as you thought it was when we were at full strength, because we had just as many opportunities in that first 20 minutes as you guys did. Nico missed a sitter, and your goalie had an incredible save when we were at full strength. Like, I think it would have been a good game, and I think it was ruined by 2 red cards that were deserving of Tottenham Hotspurs.
I think we would have swept you off the pitch, but I'll let you have that for sure.
I don't at all.
That's fair. Well, we can disagree on that one.
I think this game was one for the neutral. It really was. Like, I can't imagine like having a dog in the fight with this and having to sit there. Bro, there they said 17 minutes of VAR reviews.
Yeah.
An interesting point that I saw on Twitter
In the first half.
In the first half, this may give you like a little bit of like, I don't know, be more mad at VAR, but like I saw something that said like Van de Ven's injury may not happen if there's not as much stop in the game to where these guys are just standing around. I don't want to say that that's like a reason that caused it. I'm just saying that I know myself as an athlete. Like, if I'm
Sitting around 100%.
I'm into a game and then all of a sudden I got to stand for 5 minutes, then I got to get going again and I got to stand for 5 minutes. Like, I'm not saying that's what caused it, but it may be a reason that like
Definitely
cling on to a little bit.
You can't celebrate. You can't get into a groove. You think everything's going to be reviewed. Like, I think it's
100% with that. I think, Sterling, if we want to get into technicalities, like, standing around maybe had an effect on that. If Sterling gets a yellow for flopping on Mickey Van de Ven's original challenge in that box, the play doesn't even finish. Like, it was a whiffed clearance and it looked heavy. He swung his leg. He didn't touch anybody, and Sterling just flat out dove. If we stop play, yellow card, move on, the game ends with 11 players on the pitch. Like, I truthfully don't see where the play would continue. We'd keep playing this out. It was this pinball situation. It doesn't get to that point.
See, I disagree because you should have had 2 reds before that event even happens. You have Romero.
We're ruling out the David Beckham takeout situation.
Whatever his name is, cleats up on Sterling should have been a red. Like,
that wasn't. It was hardly a yellow.
I know it should have been a red. Cleats up.
That wasn't an
awful tackle.
That wasn't even a foul in my opinion. He didn't touch him at all.
What do you mean? He gets his shin and part of his ankle.
He didn't touch him at all. The first one.
Yes, I'll pull it right now.
We're just gonna move. We're just gonna move past that. We're gonna move past that for now.
Look, right here. I wish I could share my screen.
I think the thing with VAR, in my opinion, is I think it needs to be if the referee asks for help, that's the only time VAR is used. And what I mean by that is like potential offsides. If he needs help to determine a handball, then he has to go. Versus VAR being like, hey, I think you need to take a look at this. This may have happened way back in the play. It's like that way. It's like if a referee sees something or a linesman sees something, you can pause it and say, hey, I need help. Did I get this right? Versus VAR taking screenshot from like 3 plays that lead up to a goal and say, do these all add up to equal goal? It's like if a ref doesn't see that, like we don't need to go back to it. If a ref does see something, calls it and says, is this a red? Did I get it right in real time? Because these things happen fast. Then maybe go take a second look at it. But instead, everything is like, no, we're going to slow it down. We're going to take a look at this for 5 minutes, and then we're going to check the sequence of play to make sure there was no foul or no holding, and this other guy wasn't offside. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, it's genuinely. I don't know if you guys saw. I forget who it was afterwards. One of the NBC Sports guys was like, "Where's our game going to be in 5 years? Like where is this going to be if we're staying down this path? Because it's not sustainable.
They're going to be playing 3 more tournaments in addition.
It's not watchable. It's genuinely not watchable. Like it's horrible.
I agree.
Tell you what, still would rather have Ange than Pochettino.
Yeah, bro, that's
I'll sign off with that. I'm having Big Ange instead.
The agenda. All right, lads. Well, we know we chatted a while about all this crazy stuff that happened across the MLS and the Premier League this weekend. So we don't have a 10-minute segment for you this week, but we'll definitely be back with one next week. So stay tuned for what that'll be, but also be on the lookout for a St. Louis City season review coming in the next week or so. Be on the lookout for that. But for everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for listening. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Hell of a send-off, Lucas.
Cheers, fellas.
Jeez, what a week.